In John chapter 5, Jesus visits the pool of Bethesda, a place where he says all the people with disabilities gathered. And I believe that they gathered there. There was a legend because they thought that an angel would trouble the water and then people could jump in and get healed. And if you ever read that, the reason why sometimes it adds that verse in, or some Bibles it leaves it out, is because they had to go back and add a note to say, this doesn't make sense to people who weren't from these parts, so we got to make sure why they were gathering around this pool. And so they believed in three things. They believed that there was a place for them. They believed that they needed other people. But they also believed that there's a power in gathering together in a place where God shows up. And I still believe that the disability community still believes that there's a place for them, that they need to be around God's people, and that there's something that happens when we gather together in a place where we expect God to show up. The text says that Jesus showed up, and you remember the text. I'm not going to preach it to you, that he asked a man about whether or not he wants to get well. And I think sometimes we don't preach that properly because we begin to disparage the man for what he can't do. But notice that Jesus never points out what he couldn't do as being the problem. He just gave him what he needed. He understood that there's a place where the waters are being stirred. So my question is, and I'm almost done, what if the proverbial waters are being stirred right now? Out of all that we've seen in 2020, here's what I believe may have been a blessing, whether it was racial injustice, whatever we saw in 2020, what it did is it highlighted the fact that there are people on the margins that society has forgotten about. What if God is stirring the waters right now for the church to jump in, not just so that disabled bodies can be healed, but what if God is stirring the waters so that the disability community's faith in the church can be healed? Because we let them down. And I believe this is our window. God is stirring the waters for us to restore their faith in the community that God had always created to be on the forefront of giving them access to the type of loving, kindness, generosity, intentionality, all the things that are part of our church that will include them into God's kingdom, not just as tokens, but as people who are also called to serve along with us and expand God's kingdom. There's no other institution that has that assignment, and I believe that God is stirring up the waters, not just to heal bodies, but to heal the body of Christ. Because like Paul said, we started off good, and all of a sudden, we forgot about him. So as we talk about this, remember, this is a beginning of a conversation. It's not just that they need us. No, this is not about being paternalistic or acts of charity. This is about being the church. This is about being the place that Paul, even though he had struggles with, he still loved it with all his heart. This is about being the place that even though this church has been a huge struggle for me over the years, I still love it because of his faithful work, his loving deeds, and his enduring hope. It gives me hope that even though we have gotten it wrong, God is giving us a chance to get it right.